Okay, so I would have really liked to have Frito here because I thought with the subject I chose, which I didn't tell you yet, we could get some really unique perspectives because you are literally the most PMA Overwatch player I personally know, and I know that
I
Frito did.
am.
Yes,
Okay.
bar mine, I don't know a lot of people, and also I'm friends with Radtech, so that might bring the curve down a little bit. But you know what I'm saying.
And Metro? Yeah.
Dude, listen, Metro has a special place in my heart. Okay. But okay. But also because Frito did a lot of six stacking. I keep seeing on Twitter when they're like, hey, we're putting together a six stack, like just add this balance, whatever. So here's my question for you. I want to know how you feel about this as someone who I know did a lot of solo queuing and is very positively minded. What do you think about one tricks?
One tricks.
One tricks.
So we're on the record now.
We're on the record now.
No, no, not that I'd have a different answer off. I wouldn't lie to people like that.
Of course.
What do I think about one tricks? Well,
Yes.
I have kind of a two-way thought train with it. The developers seem to take a stance of, and correct me if I'm kind of wrong in this, but the vibe I get from the Overwatch team is that they are okay with one tricks because that's just the nature of the game when you can play whatever you want at any time you want. Like
Yeah.
it's just a side effect of the game, and they aren't against it. And like they'll say, like Jeff came out and said like a year ago, I remember he says like we do push players to encourage like to help your team out in whatever means necessary. But they're basically saying, guys that are one tricking, we're not going to stop you, but please help the team. But personally, how I do feel, so I look at someone like you said, solo queues a lot. It is very much a nature of, okay, these one tricks are really only good at one hero. While if they did put the time into another hero, they could be good enough to play it at the rank that they have with their one trick. But when they're one tricking, I just want them to play their one trick in my games because that's what they're best at, and that's like what they know to do.
Mm.
So personally, like I'll play around them because I mean my career profile is like a rainbow of colors. I can play everything. I haven't focused on one hero. I do not like the mindset of it. Like I'm not a fan of players that pick one thing, and it's in how I kind of describe it to on my channel and on my Twitch streams when I did that back in the day. I'd say they're essentially players that pick whatever they want and stick their middle finger to the team. I'm not really a big fan of that, but I also just want them to play their best hero. And if that's their one trick, all right, let's just play around them. Like getting who are the popular ones that people seem to like always be ragging on. Like Fuey 500, the Torb guy who plays at Master and GM. Like he's one people get so upset when they have players like him on the team, and you'll see people that even like try to meme and lock Torb from him. That's not as common, but when you get players like that, it's like, okay, these are very capable players, and we should be setting up as a team around them. Understand that like they are trying to play to their strengths, and so should we. But I think so much of the difficulty. Sorry to draw out this question to be an
That's
hour,
fine.
but so much of the difficulty is when it goes against your pick, and when it goes against someone else's pick. So like it doesn't fit the comp. Like you guys want to run goats, but this guy decided to do Torb on offense. That's when we start to have people like bashing heads, and that's when I'm really not a fan of the one tricks. But at the end of the day, I don't hate them as much as some other people may. I think they are they are very prideful, and they're not really there to help the team. They're definitely there for themselves, and I don't like that aspect of it, but I don't think it's a big problem in Overwatch.
I do think
I actually
that.
think there's a bigger problem.
Oh, we can get to that later. But I do think
And
that
it's somewhat similar, but yeah, go on.
anyone who's like watched my channel for a while probably knows my stance on one tricks, and one tricks
You
is
hate them?
it's like I mean it's a very emotionally fueled discussion because people feel emotionally attached to their rank in a way where they're like, well, I lose because of so many things I have no control over, and one tricks are a big part of that, where I am forced to work around them when they should just be essentially bowing to their team and do whatever works best for the team. But something I've done a lot in the past where I spoke against the practice of one tricking was where I kind of shoehorned them all in the same drawer. And I do know that's not the right thing to do, right? I know that there's like shades of gray, there's different types of one tricks, and as you say, there's like the middle finger type of one trick, who's just like, yo, screw you, I just really want to play this character, don't care what you do. And there's an argument to be made where these people, quote unquote, don't belong to competitive play. Now, I know this is probably going to piss a lot of people off, but if you were to strictly make a rule set for competitive play where you want to further the competition, then players like that in a team-based game really have no place. But we also have to realize that in the type of game that Overwatch is, it's not just the middle finger type of players that end up being one tricks, it's also players that don't have that much time where they have to choose, okay, I have a 9 to 5 job and then I have a couple hours at night to play some Overwatch, and I either put the hours into hero I really like playing and try to get it as good as possible and fight against the odds, or I split my time between trying to get good with many heroes, which is going to take much, much longer with the limited time that I have, and I'm not going to be as good as I can be if I just focus on one thing.
Yeah. No, I think there's two things you brought up that I like. No, I'll go with the one that you just recently said. Splitting your time to a lot of heroes and like across the cast versus being really good at one hero and really pushing your SR. I actually questioned myself on that so much. Like, it's when I hit gold border, and actually with all my alt accounts combined, I'd almost be platinum border, which is funny by now. But so having a decent amount of time in the game, I never one tricked. Like I have over 100 hours on multiple heroes. I have no, like, not one hero that stands out among the rest. And I often ask myself, like, man, so I play a whole bunch of heroes around 38 to 4100 on the ladder. Like, that's my home. And I ask myself, man, what if I put all my time and just got really prideful and really greedy and only picked, let's just pick like Genji. What if I played nothing but Genji? Could I be a 4500 player if I did nothing but Genji over the past 2 years? Like a lot of people do. Like or whatever people for whatever hero, these are those 42, 43, 44, 45ers. And I mean, it shows that they put all of their time into one hero. And that's always interesting, because I think the worst part of it is that it's true. And it's something like we hate to just cope with, the fact that, yeah, it's technically true. If you don't feel for the team, if you put all of your time into one hero, you may end up being a lot higher of a rank because you're just going to have mastered the one hero, but occasionally shoot yourself in the foot when it comes to teams that won't let you play that hero / you don't fit in the comp. But at the end of the day, if you do one trick, one hero, unfortunately, it seems to be working a lot better SR-wise than players who will play anything for the team. But right, you don't have my respect as a player until you're someone like all the Overwatch League players are really good at this. You could put them on anything and they're a 4500 capable player. Even crazy. The people like we see only playing one thing, like if you see Carpe only on like Tracer or Widow, and there's like, you could literally, like Jonek only does like the supports. All of a sudden you see on his stream, he's a 4500 Widow player. Like, all of these guys can play everything. And that's why they're in the Overwatch League and the one tricks aren't.
That's right.
Because they can play anything for the team. They understand the game too well because they put time into all the heroes. And then something else you brought up earlier was talking about, shoot.
Yes.
No, okay, I remember. It was that if you're going to one trick in competitive isn't the place for you, and you should be in quick play. Is that kind of like the side you were taking on that? Like one tricks?
If competitive play was an inherently competitive environment, then there will be that argument.
Okay, yeah, and that was something I could get on board with. I think at the end of the day, I am a fan of being able to go into a match and you can play whatever you'd like whenever you want. And I think that is like an important part of the game to protect, so that you just have this freedom. But, you know, inherently, if you are getting so many avoids constantly that nobody wants you on your team, then maybe it is a real option. We have to start looking into moving these players and like banning them for which I know we do, but we don't do enough. Ban players for the rest of a season, or just like honestly turn competitive off on their account. Make it so that they can only do quick play. Because then we start to ask, okay, is competitive a right or is it a privilege? Now we're talking about the politics of Overwatch. Oh, this is going to be a great title for you.
I mean, it's very interesting because when we talk about one tricking, we often discuss the mechanical and like the probability aspect of it, because one trick putting all their time into their best hero does not necessarily make them a good player. As you said earlier, good players are the Overwatch League guys, right? Because they have mastered the game, they have deep understanding, and they don't really understand how to play the game. They also act accordingly, and that's why they're so good on like essentially the entire roster. But when it comes to competitive play, where nothing is on the line but anything that we imagine is important, like our digital skill rating, for example, it's more of a mentality thing at the end of the day, I think, because if you look at so many popular one tricks, they kind of go different ways, because there's one tricks that try the hardest to make themselves work with their expertise in their team, but what I've seen, the one tricks that get mass avoided are not those one tricks. They don't get mass avoided for playing their one hero. They get mass avoided because they're assholes. And they don't want to realize that they're assholes because they're like, they have the scapegoat, right? They have this thing where they can say, oh, they only avoid me because I'm a one trick, when in reality, it's the attitude that you bring together with being a one trick, because there are as many asshole players as there are nice players, and just in that same way, there's as many asshole one tricks as there's simply nice one tricks. So I really question what that does at the end of the day with your mentality and how you see the game from that one trick perspective.
I think you're right. You get some dangerous combos. I'm sorry to him if he's watching this video, keep bringing up the name, but Fuey, I think one thing, like, people would have problems with him is, and I would see it in my matches because I play around the same SR as him a lot of the time. And when he's in a game, he's not in voice chat. I think he started joining voice chat lately, but you have these players. No Hero is probably another one. That name's become kind of a meme to where everyone's changing their name to No Hero.
Yep.
And they're like a sim locker. They'll look like Sim or Torb or like one of those off meta picks. Yep. Which is fine. But these are people that don't talk. They don't work with the team, and they're going to play that hero no matter how well they do, no matter how poorly they do, no matter what the team says or wants. They will play that hero and they will not communicate. And that's something that is like just growing. They are like, their Overwatch accounts are just filled with avoids. Like, and I've seen like there was a Twitter account that was about like, who to avoid. I had a laugh looking at some of there. And it's just also sad at the same time to see like all these names, people just getting trashed on. I hate to see these players, like they should be allowed to not join voice, play whatever they want, even though it sucks. But I think you should still have like the freedom to do that in the game. And I think the 5 players on the team that got paired with that player, they should still be able to like get into that situation and understand what they have to do to win. Because I think some people look at that and they completely change their mindset. They're like, oh, we got the one trick, they're going Torb, now we're done. Mm-hmm. Like, okay, once you have that mindset, you did lose.
Exactly.
Once you start throwing. And I think one thing, and it's kind of frustrating when I see people, now this gets into like the psychology of like your mental state during a match and not letting one thing just drive your team into the ground. And like you have to keep morale high, and not to give you like a cookie cutter answer, but keeping everybody positive, just keep talking. Someone needs to come through as an IGL. If someone comes through as the in-game leader and calls for the team, you're going to win. And people need to take responsibility for their own matches. Like if I lose a game and we had a one trick, even if the one trick probably didn't do very well, I'm not going to blame the whole game on them. I mean, maybe I'll complain a little bit, like, oh my God, he just won't stop feeding. But at the end of the day, I mean, it's your fault. Like in this situation, it's my fault we didn't win because I didn't play well enough.
Every game on paper is winnable, always.
Yeah. Well, yeah, on paper, yeah. On paper. I forget who said it. It was probably Siegel who said something so freaking genius, and it just made so much sense to me when he said it, because I'm like, oh my God, that's exactly right. It was like 30% of your games are instant wins, the other 30% are instant loss, and then it's like the last 40% are the matches where you like have to fight to win, and that last 40% is where you actually have to prove yourself as a player. And I think when I heard that made a lot of sense to me. Like, okay, so 30% of my matches, I'm going to win no matter what, whether I do good or bad or average. And then the other 30%, I'm losing no matter what. And so then you're going to fight for the last... I don't know if you've heard that, but I remember when I first heard that, I was like, man, that is actually really cool.
I think when it comes to probability, there's probably a lot of truth behind that, because that's more affecting the outcome of your game than just skill. Like, as much as people like to imagine a future where Overwatch is entirely skill-based, it never will be. I mean, by design, you have easy encounters and difficult encounters when it comes to how the heroes interact with each other, and that's a very deliberate design choice. But besides how the heroes interact with each other and how the heroes interact on the maps as well, you also have Goddamn phone. You also have the aspect of just psychology and mentality, what we talked about earlier, where it's not the fact that you have a one trick that loses the game for you. It's the fact that you already counted that game as lost because of the one trick, or because you have some sort of prejudice, and you sometimes even subconsciously don't try as hard as you would if you didn't have a one trick, simply because you're telling yourself, maybe even based on experience, that you are more likely to lose the game because of that. When any number of things can be going on in the enemy team, they might as well have like 3 people who are tilted out of their minds because they just lost a very frustrating game, and they're going to be playing way worse. So if you don't care about your one trick and just play as well as you can easily win that game, even when it feels like on paper you should be losing it. On paper, it is my belief that every game is always winnable at any point in time, and just the players manipulating the odds at the end of the day. And I do think that what Siegel said, when you break it down, like, hey, across the 100, 200, maybe 1,000 games that I played, probably 30% of them were handed to me, maybe because of something relating to mentality, or something relating to hero comp, or something relating to whatever else. 30%, I just couldn't win because something was going on in my team, and 40% is where my mechanical skill or my leadership skill maybe even makes a difference. So I do think there's a lot of truth behind that.
Yeah, I found Siegel to be a pretty good head for talking players through ranked over the past, like, what, we're 2.5 years of Overwatch now.
Absolutely, yes.
And that's why I've kind of always pay attention to the things he says, because I think he has a good vision for what it kind of takes. If you want to be like him, if you want to be someone capable of the 45s in comp, it's like, listen to what he's saying, because he's being real with people. And if you want to get better at the game, if you want to climb that high, you need people to be real with you. And that's what I do on my channel. I know, and I don't make as many videos like how to rank up in Overwatch anymore. I kind of have shifted my channel a different direction. But back in the day, and that was my goal. I'm going to be real with you. This is what I've done in my matches to be, at whatever rank I play at, and it's usually around 38 to 4100. And it's that authenticity, and I know I like that about your channel as well. You talk about like the community topics and a lot of different things going into ranked, and so that genuine.
I also recommend. I mean, people probably don't even realize most of the time that you and we know each other. The reason that I really don't mention it, I mean, I really don't go around telling, hey, I'm friends with all these other YouTubers, because it really doesn't matter in any context, in any videos I make. But technically, you and I are like in direct competition, right? Like, we make very similar types of content, and I do check out what you do every so often, and I'll see what videos you make. And especially the more entertainment-based ones I find very entertaining. But
thanks.
But the thing is, too, that I try not to get my opinion influenced by other people who do similar style of content. This is a bit of a sidetrack here, but that's the reason why I watch more Ragtag videos than yours, because Ragtag is not in the same space as I am, so I don't really get influenced by his videos. But when we talk about content creators anyway, and those that are real with you, what Siegel is for you and your mentality, I believe EQO is for you in a mechanical sense. Like, EQO is so incredibly candid when it comes to every mechanical aspect of the game. He's incredibly knowledgeable, and he will never, like, tell you bullshit.
What does he say?
Like, is
that an Overwatch League player?
Yeah, EQO is Philly Fusion's flex DPS. Let's segue this from top 500 into people abusing, let's say quote unquote abusing one tricking and matchmaking to get to top 500. What do you think about people who meta slave their way up the ranks as a one trick? Let's say they only play Doomfist when he's broken, they don't play Brigitte when she's broken, they don't play Mercy when she was broken. What do you think about those types of players?
So we're talking about one tricks, solo queuing, playing the meta DPS that's broken currently.
Or support or tank or whatever.
Okay, so there's one tricking whatever. Yeah. You use the word exploiting or abuse. I forget which one. What are they abusing?
Because that's the claim. People claim that if you one trick a hero that is, let's call it objectively overpowered. Let's say Doomfist. I say he's overtuned. People say he's overpowered. Let's agree, just for the sake of discussion, that Doomfist is overpowered. And they call these people then like Doomfist abusers or Baguette abusers. And supposedly, you one-tricking a broken hero gives you somehow a higher rank by just playing them constantly. What do you think about that?
Well, you're only going to get the higher rank you're good enough at the hero. I don't think people should be like falsely, because then that starts to take away from the individual skill. And as much as I hate Doomfist, that's my least favorite hero to play against in the game, besides Mei, because I'm not seeing Mei as much right now. But Doomfist, like, you know how I feel about him. I hate Doomfist players, but it's still important to protect that the players that have decided to spend all their time on it, whether or not it took as much time as other heroes to get good at that hero, like that they still put in the work. And you know what? If Doomfist is meta and this player is going to decide to pick the meta hero, I mean, maybe the benefit or maybe the consequence of that truly is just higher SR at the end of the day, because this hero fits so well in with this world of Brigittas and lots of BS type of combo kills. And
her name is Baguette.
Baguette, yeah.
Baguette, yeah. Sometimes I do wonder if there is a reason, because you can try to make the argument of like the matchmaker works with your average stats, and if a hero gets buffed, maybe that like skews the stats in some way, where even a lower average performance prior to the buff would now gain you a higher rank because suddenly the average changed and you can somehow abuse the system in that regard. My point of view in that regard is that it's not the players playing those broken heroes that in and of themselves get that higher rank as a result of them playing that. I think it's the stubbornness of players who do not like the idea of broken heroes, who give them literal free SR. It's the McCrees, it's the Genjis, it's the Tracers and the Soldiers of the world who all say, no, I will not play Doomfist because he's broken, he's not fun. I will play my off-meta hero even though I'm literally not helping my team, just as a statement. As a statement that I have skill and they don't, and if they have a higher SR, then they are a Doomfist abuser. I think you just handed them that SR by refusing to play the game in its most optimal way. You yell at Torbjorn One Tricks for not playing a meta comp on, let's say, Numbani attack or whatever. Arguably, the Outlaws have shown us that can work to some extent. And you just sitting there yelling at these people while simultaneously refusing to play Junkrat when he's useful. You refuse to play Doomfist when he's useful, just because, quote unquote, they don't take skill. You're giving them that SR, is my opinion. What do you think about that?
You're right. How often do you see that in your matches, though, where a player decides not to play? Like, say, Doomfist is going to be the perfect fit in this comp. We have 5 heroes lined up. Doomfist is the obvious next pick. But this guy goes Tracer. Do you see the Tracer player who's maybe really good at Tracer, but not as good as if they were to be on Doomfist? Do you see them saying, I'm not picking Doom because he's broken?
Yes.
Do you see an actual retaliation like that?
Especially the higher in rank it gets, the more I see that retaliation. Because I feel like lower rank players, especially if you're like stuck in that Masters rank and you really want GM, you're probably more likely to do whatever is necessary to win. But people who have been in Grandmaster on the back of what belief is their skill, like mostly the hitscan heroes, will often retaliate and refuse to play anything but their comfort picks, yelling that other things are broken. And that discussion does not usually pop up until you start losing, right? Like, we'll be going out the gates in, let's say, Route 66 or whatever, and we'll get absolutely stomped, and we're like, all right, listen, last point, lots of close quarter, you can maybe get some easy punches here and really help us out, displace their tanks. They're like, no, I will keep playing Tracer, Doomfist is not fun, he's not skillful, and that's the argument. They're not even arguing anything but that they won't play it because it doesn't take skill. And it really frustrates me because they hide under the excuse of trying to win, but then they don't do what's necessary to win because supposedly it doesn't take skill.
There's kind of like 2 different questions in there. Like, originally the question was, or what we were talking about was when you said the players that won't play Doomfist because he's broken, and that's them like taking a stand against it. But then it's also when you said that they're just staying on their comfort picks. But those are 2 very different like reasons. Like, so are you finding that players aren't picking Doomfist? Like let's say it's Doomfist. Let's say, like, are you seeing players not picking Doomfist because it's for the sake of it being Doomfist and they're taking a stand that it's broken? Or are they not picking Doomfist because they're just going to pick their comfort picks because that's what they're comfortable playing? Because those are 2 different questions.
I know, it's 2 different questions. You're exactly right with that. But they use it as an excuse. Because here's the kicker. I believe that these players are no better than a Torbjorn One Trick. They are Tracer One Tricks, Soldier One Tricks, McCree One Tricks, whatever, who hide under the excuse of something not taking skill just so they can one-trick their hero.
Because I see it like, so I'm someone who has, if you look at my career profile, my entire player pool is not meta. I'm a Roadhog, Soldier, McCree, Tracer, Genji. Hanzo is really like the only hero that can maybe fit in these comps. And so that's why I've been playing like so much Ana lately. Like I play almost all of the DPS, but honestly, I never put like much practice into Sombra or Doom or like any of the heroes that were added to the game. I never put much practice into them. I know if I did, I would be able to play them at like my average SR of like 39 to 4K. But right now I feel like I play them more at like a 37. And so like I would like when I'm in a game right now, like my main account is like 3,900 on the dot right now. It's probably like 3,890. Like I will still pick right now Genji or McCree over the Doomfist because I really haven't spent any time. I know I just need to spend some time with it and I'd be okay. But like I find myself picking my comfort picks because that's what's going to win me a game over me going Doom.
Yeah, and you're honest with yourself about that. You know that you think you're going to make a bigger impact on that hero over Doomfist, right?
Absolutely. If I felt, I'll play whatever hero I feel like I have the best impact with.
Exactly. And if you feel like
the answer is Ana, like because I love playing DPS. DPS are like my most played heroes, except Roadhog for some reason, which I don't play at all. But from multiple seasons ago, it's still somehow my most played. I'll go Ana. I'll feel for the team. Sometimes like the answer to like what I feel like is best in the situation for me and the team is Ana. And yeah, I absolutely try to pick what is going to be the most effective to getting us to a win.
Even if that's playing Brigitte or Doomfist.
Yeah, and Brigitte, I'm glad you said that one. Brigitte is another one I have put zero time into. I have like no time played on her. It's another, I guess I'm seeing a trend in the new heroes and me not playing them. I guess I maybe have just been lazy and I think one other thing is I still feel like I haven't yet mastered, or in this case, quote unquote, grandmastered some of the other original heroes. So I feel like I still want to keep playing them before I move on to these. But all those original heroes are kind of crap right now because Brigitte exists, because Doomfist exists. And so those are the correct picks. And thank God Brigitte is so easy because I do occasionally play her in my games when the team is like crying for it. I will pick her over like if I'm Ana. Or if I for some reason had to go Lucio, which is rare, but the team is like, dude, we need a Brig. Someone play Brig, but no one will go it. Like, okay, I'll pick it because I know it's easy and I know how to do the Tracer combo. So there really can't be that much more to it. And then I feel like I'm just an average player on the team. I'm not going to benefit or bring down the team. I just feel like I'm doing nothing, or I just feel like I'm perfectly average. But I'd like to be feeling like I'm adding to the team's chance.
More impactful.
Yeah, more impact, especially as someone who's used to playing DPS. All I'm thinking about is, okay, how can I get the next frag? How should I play around this map to bring more impact?
I just want people to be more honest with themselves. I hate when people hide behind these fake excuses of XYZ doesn't take skill. Just be honest with yourself. Tell yourself, hey, I'm maybe a 1-trick, 2-trick, 3-trick. I only play like a handful of heroes, and I do not think I can bring the performance necessary, and I'm just too lazy to learn another hero. Just be honest about it. Don't tell me this bullshit of like Doomfist doesn't take skill, thus I'm not playing him. Just tell me you're a soldier 1-trick then. Whatever it takes. I just want you to be honest with me so I know what I'm working with, you know? Yeah. That's really what's pissing me off, man.
And I hated, I'm pretty sure, I think I've even said in a video that Doomfist is a skillless hero. And I know you would hate that, but I did a bad job of explaining like why I said it like that, because it's not clearly, if you're gonna play someone above, like let's say Diamond, if you're gonna play someone above 3,000, it's gonna take skill whether you like it or not. Even if it's Mercy, it's gonna take skill.
Yeah.
And with Doomfist, what I was so pissed off about, sorry to curse, what I was so mad about. It was really, I think it was the fact that he was in a. I look at Doomfist exactly like Genji. I think they're the same exact hero, just Genji takes mechanical skill and prowess, Doom does not. But they are still that insanely hard hero to master when it comes to movement and the most important, decision making, knowing when to go in and get out of a fight, knowing like where to play, how to play. That is the hardest thing to possibly learn in the game. And that's why Doomfist is so high skilled. But the mechanics to him and actually getting a kill, once you've understood like mentally how to play, getting a kill with Doomfist is so freaking easy, but Genji, not so much.
Yeah.
That's why I call Doomfist an easy hero. Or like I'd call him a skillless hero, even though we all know it's a very hard hero to master, like Genji, but just easier on mechanics.
Yeah, I don't think in the context of Overwatch that we should really differentiate between mechanical skill and game sense and the like. I mean, for the sake of discussion, you can do that, but if you just talk about, hey, I'm good or bad at Overwatch, all these things come together. So Mercy is a difficult hero in the sense that you probably need a lot of hours and the experience to understand how to play to survive as long as possible. Like, I wouldn't say that Mercy's a skill-less hero. I just think she's a hero you can easily get value out of. And Doomfist is kind of similar.
You can say it's skillless.
I mean, that's only if you say that the only skill is mechanical prowess, which I do not agree with personally.
No, yeah. But no, absolutely. There's always a level to skill. It's just how much compared to the other heroes. Like, of course, it's going to take a lot of skill to play Mercy at 4,500.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
Compared to a Genji or Tracer, compared to a Reinhardt, compared to an Ana or a Zen, like, it's a very different game, but it still takes skill.
Yeah,
it takes a hell of a lot of skill.
I don't think you can play any hero at 4,500 without showing skill at that hero unless you paid for a boost or something. Like, you need to be skillful at your hero.
Yeah.
I was not gonna mention that. Oh my god. I think at this point, we've been talking for like over half an hour. We should probably call it here. I think we got a lot of food for thought for the people. Curious to see what they think about this. Do they agree or disagree with us? Especially when it comes to skill and one tricks. It's going to be really interesting to see. Any closing words?
It was a good talk. Yeah, I guess. Well, I kind of mentioned at the very beginning of the video when I said I don't think that's like the true problem with Overwatch.
Oh, yeah, hit us with that. Hit us with the true problem.
I guess I should have hit you. So in my experience, Mr. Terios, in my experience playing ranked this season and the last like 8-ish season, pretty much every season since season 3, I was mostly solo queuing. And then this season, like the other day, I spent almost an entire day or an entire afternoon 6 stacking with your Overwatch and some of the random guys from his Discord. In all my matches, which is mostly solo queue still, the biggest problem I see in Overwatch ranked is alt account players just queuing up for competitive on an alt and picking nothing but what's to their heart's desires. Not talking to the team. It's usually a Widow, Hanzo, Tracer, Genji, Doom, Mei, some Torb, Sim. They absolutely do not main these heroes. They are probably, let's see, based on like where I play at, they're probably like 4,000 on their main, but like 3,600 on these random heroes that they're picking. And they just don't care about what happens and they continually get picked, don't work with the team. That is the biggest problem. And they truly don't care about the environment. And that's the problem with competitive Overwatch. And a lot of it is fixed from that famous thing we always hear, queue for roll. If you have a roll queue system, these players, because then you end up getting your 2 DPS mains on the team, but then here's also the alt account player who's going to play nothing but that pick, no matter how bad they're doing. And I found you would hope that the people on the alt accounts, because they looks like a smurf, you would hope that they're good, but it ends up not being so. Yeah, that's my final closing.
And if you guys want us to talk about this with Frito, leave a comment down below. And don't forget to subscribe. You can find Nateson over on twitch.tv/NatesonTV, youtube.com/Nateson. Don't forget to subscribe. And we'll see you guys next time.
Peace.